he was so pumped when I said you're gonna come in. Okay, in backwards planning for module 1, we need to look at the test first. And according to our pacing guide, the entire module will be testing standards OA B2. So we need to look through this module.
What does OAB2 read out?
Okay, so
I've got that one. It's fluently add and subtract within 20 using mental strategies. By the end of grade 2, know from memory all sums of 2 one-digit numbers. That's
Okay.
the actual standard.
So we're going to add and subtract fluently within 20?
Yep.
Is that what you said? Okay. So let's look at the lessons now and decide which one's going to help us best add and subtract within 20 fluently. So they've got to remember them. Instant recall.
Okay.
We have
And that's our
7
goal.
days, yeah.
The standard is our goal. And so all the lessons that we're building up, scaffolding to meet that, to master that standard.
Within 7
7
days.
7 days. And let's look real quick. I wanted to see how many other times on the pacing guide OAB2 was brought up. How many times?
I only see it one time.
I don't see it anymore either.
Okay.
So that means we have to master the standard
master
this
it.
time. We're
Yeah.
not going to get another chance to teach
Right.
it.
Yep.
I mean, unless we put it into some bell work, if we see some struggling or
Differentiated
differentiated
centers.
centers, we could put that in there.
Okay.
So 1.1 says use doubles, facts to add. I think that's good for the fluency part because kids can easily remember and memorize 1 + 1, 2 + 2, 3 + 3, and those are their doubles. So I think that's going to be good to talk about to get us to the mastery of OAB2. Under the build understanding, it seems to show first, they don't have doubles on there. The first question has a 4 and a 5 on there. So we might want to start with the Spark Your Learning and just let the kids see the visual. Because when they use those base 10 blocks, it's clear to see that 5 is smaller than 6. We really want to show them that doubles are equal.
For this one, do we want to add that to our plan, even though it's not?
Well, let's look at all the build understanding and see if we're going to have time or room in our 7 days to add that. And if we don't, then it might just have to be something we discuss during build understanding without actually assigning it.
How many tasks are on build understanding?
It looks like there's only 2 tasks. Is that what you guys see in your manual? Teacher's manual? Teacher's guide?
Yes.
Just 2? So we need to do them both. And I do see on the build understanding visuals also to help them see that a double should be equal. So there is still some visuals on the build understanding which will help. On your own is going to tell us if they kind of understood what we talked about and what they actually finished in build understanding. It looks like on your own does not have the visuals that they started out with in build understanding. So we're going to hope they get that visual as it scaffolds, and by on your own, they don't need the visual.
Yeah.
Could we tell them they can draw a visual in this space if they want to?
And if for the ones that we have in person, the ones that we have in our 5-1 or in hybrid, we can give them actual manipulatives.
We could.
Just to give them visually.
And the kids at home, we could
Give
tell
them
them,
beans or
yes.
grab some beans, grab whatever you have, it's just to start kind of getting, if they need that hands-on.
We could for the on your own. That's a good idea. We could tell them to get manipulative at home and be simple and easily found. So after we finish on your own, do we decide to do the more practice? Or do we just move on?
Let's keep looking and see.
Okay.
Because what if, if the more practice starts to build, maybe we pick one, if we don't have the time, pick one that's gonna actually be able to tell us if they have any of those basics as well. We do that.
And will you look and see if there's a video on the online portion for this?
There is. It is lesson support video. Use doubles facts to add.
Okay, so we're gonna wanna let them see the video before they start the build understanding.
Yeah. Lesson video, build understanding.
And there's 2 tasks under build understanding.
And then on your own.
Perfect.
And then maybe based on the on your own results, instead of automatically assigning the more practice, maybe we could look through those results, both online and in the classroom, and decide if we think it's important to add the more practice, or if we can go ahead and move on to lesson 1.2 because the kids have mastered the doubles. Okay, so moving on to 1.2 then. We're gonna develop fluency again, but this time it's addition using mental strategies and properties.
So now you're moving into that mental.
So if they already know the doubles, mentally they'll know the doubles too, 1 + 1, 2 + 2, 3 + 3. So on the build understanding part, again, they start with the visual. So there's the scaffolding or the teaching part of the lesson. This one has 4 tasks instead of 3. So 1.2 is going to take a little longer to get through than 1.1. I noticed it kind of talks about the commutative property of addition so that children will know if 6 + 5 is 11, then 5 + 6 is also 11. So that's a mental strategy to know a commutative property of addition.
I don't see that on her assessment.
I'm not seeing anything about what we just talked about on use doubles. There's not anything on the assessment that's showing
The
that.
only part that it has on the use doubles is on question number 1, where they're using the doubles and then adding another one.
Yes.
That's the only part that used doubles. And I didn't use any other.
So maybe by number 1, we could write doubles with the question mark by it.
Yeah, we're not seeing that in our assessment.
And are we seeing anything then that kind of goes with the commutative property?
I'm not.
The only thing I can see that might help with the commutative property is number 5. So I'm going to write commutative property by it because it's a subtraction. So the commutative property could help them if they already understand that 9 + 8 = 17. That kind of leads into the fact family. It might help them understand that 17 - 8 would have to be 9. So I'm going to put a question mark by the commutative property for that one.
Okay.
So we'll know how much time we need to spend there. So let's move on to 1.3 and see how many of those could be on this module test. And it's relate addition and subtraction, which again is kind of what we just talked about on number 5. So instead of 1.2 commutative property, maybe 1.3
Just covering the-
But is 1.2 gonna scaffold into 1.3?
I think it is, so
Okay.
we
So I guess
probably
that's
need
what we
to,
look at.
we need to make sure and know that they understand that it's leading into. Because this would be relating the addition and subtraction, number 5. Do you see any others that look like it could relate? Oh, number 2
Number
actually
2
has the
says
words,
related,
related facts,
Which
so
related that.
And
1.3,
And so does that 8.
8.
Yeah,
Says
related
related
addition.
facts.
Yes.
Oh, the words even again, related addition facts, so 1.3 is there. Anybody see it anywhere else?
It's just those 2.
Okay, so let's look at 1.4.
3 and 4 and 5 are literally just flat out subtraction.
Okay, and now that you say that, 1.4 is develop fluency with subtraction.
So that's probably where.
And then that goes right
Give
with
that
3, 4,
practice.
and 5.
So
So
1.4
1.4
would
support
go,
with 3,
3, 4,
question 3 and 3, 4, and 5.
and
Well, I
possibly
had 5 on an earlier one, but
Yeah, I get
it goes
so.
with that one too.
okay. So then, moving on to 1.5, use a make 10 strategy to add. I know I saw one.
Look at 7. Probably
Yep,
7.
Yep.
7 is gonna be 1.5. It's a make 10 strategy. I think 6 could be make 10 because it's 7 and 3.
Yes.
So that could possibly be 1.5.
Oh, but on 6, they're asking you to count back.
Which would also be subtraction, so that'd be also be 1.4.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else see another make 10? Okay. So if we move on to 1.6, it's use a tens fact to subtract.
On the build understanding, one of them says, Caleb has 13 pretzels. He eats 5 of the pretzels. How many pretzels does he have now? And it gives him a number line to count back.
Okay. So again, that's going to be subtract, just
Subtraction.
Subtraction.
5 again,
Specific.
because it's reinforcing number 5.
Yeah,
so 1.6 on 5 and
Count back on
1.6 on 3
6 and 10.
and
And-
4
Yeah.
and 10.
And both parts on 10.
1.6.
Yep.
Both.
Okay. Yes, both parts on 10. Okay. And then if we move on to 1.7, add 3 numbers using mental strategies and properties.
Yeah, that was question number 1.
That's number 5.
So number 1
I
is
was
going
wondering, I was
to
like, what are we gonna?
be 1.7.
They're using doubles.
But like, you can see that scaffold, how that just pushed into 3 numbers.
So we
Yeah,
can't
we start-
skip the doubles.
can't skip
We
the
need
doubles.
it because it scaffolds into so many of these others.
And that's what we had asked about skipping lessons, that we really cannot skip the lessons, because I really
We
understand.
really need them.
And then we're into the test.
Okay. So looking at this, it looks like I see 1.6 on 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a part B, so 5. So 1.6
It's major.
is major. And what about 1.4? Is it on several?
1, 2, 3, 4.
4. And then 1.5, is it on several?
one, I just saw.
Oh,
Two on
just
that
two.
one.
Okay. So we know those are the three big lessons. We have to have all the components of those, but like you said earlier, 1.1, even though we really only found one problem that kind of semi dealt with it, it's kind of the scaffold that leads to all of these.
There wasn't a lot more.
I think there's just one, 1.1, 1.1, and one, 1.2. Could we combine those two then? Talk about them together and not skip them, but talk about them all together.
And then that would give us, so we have 1, 2, 3 days, 4, 5, 6, 7 days to leave this, you know, for the rest if we need to.
That's a good
Or
idea.
reteach.
Reteach.
If we get like
Yes.
the lesson 1.4, since that's the first time they're seeing some of those, and they have a hard time, we can go back and reteach.
We might need another day for that one.
Some of the lessons. that we have.
7 lessons,
7 days.
7 days. So if we did combine 1.1 and 1.2, because these, especially the 1.6, are such big lessons, we could possibly do 1.6 for 2 days, because that's what's tested
Yes.
on the test the most. Okay,
Let's do that.
okay.
So should we go ahead and try to build our, into math, build our
Mhm.
assignments? Are we missing anything before we even jump into building our technology piece?
Right?
Okay, we look at the assessment, the practice plan, our lessons,
We know what our standard is.
know what the standard is, how many times it's in the pacing guide.
No, I was going to go to the share screen and do it so we can see the technology portion.
Okay.
My glasses are fogging up. Okay, so let's look at,
And you can.
so when I go into my Into Math, we want to create our plan.
Yes.
So we're going to create. Let me make sure I have it on our video. Okay, so we see our Into Math, so we're going to go to our create and we're going to create our plan. And what do we want to name this plan?
I think we just name it the module, fluency for addition and subtraction within 20.
So module 1, fluency for addition. See if I misspell something.
Addition and subtraction within 20.
Within 20. Okay.
Within.
Within N. Within N.
Perfect.
Okay. Do we want to put a description, or are we good with just leaving that blank for now?
Do we maybe want to put the days that this will run? so we
Okay,
know
that's good.
Yep.
Okay, so
it's gonna
Maybe we
be-
could put the standard and then dash the
Yeah.
number of
okay,
days.
so it is OA
B2.
dash B2, and it's going to be from
September 21st
September 21st
to
to
29th.
29. Okay, so save and continue. And then from here, we're going to go to our Discover and Module 1 and Lesson 1, because that's where we are. And you want me to add our lesson support video, we said yes?
Yes.
So we definitely want that. And we want task 1, task 2, we want all of our tasks.
Yes. Yes, we do.
And did we say on your own for lesson 1-1? Or no? Yes,
Yeah,
because
if
we're
we
doing
have
that
time,
with
I think
everything,
so,
correct?
yes.
We have time, okay. I don't know if I added
We
two, let's
combine
see.
those two.
Let me go
That'd be
look at the
extra
plan.
practice too.
Absolutely, okay. Nope, I didn't add one. Okay, so this gets us just lesson 1 in this module. Let me add task 1 because I didn't. So here's my question. When I look here, I'm on module 1. Remember we had 7 lessons within module 1. Do we want to create a new plan for each lesson?
I think so. That way, as we push it to our kids,
Yes, it
We're
makes a little bit more
we're
sense.
pushing just
Okay,
the lesson.
so I'm going to go in and change this and edit it. Or not. So we should have this named module 1.1. Whoops. Because this is really module 1, lesson 1.
I think maybe we should put lesson
Okay.
1, because I think if a parent sees this, they won't know what
Okay.
1.1
Yes.
necessarily means.
So you want me to do module,
Lesson 1?
just take off module?
No,
Or do we, because we need another one, module 1,
yeah, just put
lesson 1.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Lesson 1, okay. And then we'll just go through and do the same thing for all of the other lessons. So we'll just go back and we'll create another plan that says module 1, lesson 2,
Yes.
and go through and
just go through
add.
that step on that one.
Okay, that'll work.
All right.
All right.
So then looking through here though, I think because the build understanding is scaffolding, I think I would want to take a grade on your own, because that's also going to tell me who I might need to reteach later, or pull into a small group, have a Zoom with, depending on if they're 5 to 1 or if they're at home. And then that'll give me a grade each day of the week. And then at the end of the module, I know I have to take a grade on the module test.
Yes.
And then I can choose out of the grades I've chosen for all the lessons, which grade I want to put in the grade book with the module test grade.
Okay.
Also.
Sounds good.
And I know, like, since, I think especially that 1.6 lesson was heavy, we might be looking at what we could take a grade from that lesson, 1.6, because obviously that's going to be one that's like our,
And it ties it more to the test.
yeah, to that module.
module
So
test.
really giving me a good indicator of where my kids are and how they might be doing when they get to that module test. So is there anything in
It looks like the on your own for 1.6. It does look like they have a number line for the subtraction. It looks like they have some commutative property and some maybe make tens on there also. There's some doubles, so that probably
So
would
lesson
be,
6 has a little bit of everything.
it would be a really,
good
for
one
sure,
grade?
on your own, that I might really want to choose it as the one I'm going to put in the grade book, because it has something from each lesson before it.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we've decided what our grades will be. Do we feel like we've hit the standard? Carrie, you want to read that standard again for us?
Yes.
Okay, just
Fluently add, subtract within 20 using mental strategies. So cover that in the lesson and ready
for the module. I guess so after we see how they do on the module, y'all want to just get back together, or maybe as we're working through maybe 1.6 as well, just start looking at some of these grades and see how they're doing. Okay. All right.
Sounds good.
You all good?
I think so.
Thank you, ladies.